Zed, I think that's right, and that benefit of the doubt extends to that point that I made. I don't think the government has copped any real blame for the rate rises. People have recognised there's a lot of international factors at play, and it's the independent RBA taking this course of action. The budget, though, is a dividing line, but as to whether or not they cop any of the political flack on this issue.
Well, I think that's right. I mean, I think on your point, Darren, I don't think it's whether inflation goes down. I think inflation all around the world after the spike is slowly going down. In most countries, it's going down slower here in Australia. So the question is, are we going to lag behind? Is it going to settle at 4% plus, or is it going to get down to the target rate of 2 to 3%? And as a result of this budget, which certainly a lot of economists have said is inflationary, and even some of those who were cited by the Treasurer were actually saying, well, at the very least, it'll delay interest rate cuts, so people will be paying more for their mortgages for longer. I think this is the moment where, that honeymoon does start to come off, simply because Australians, after seeing 2 budgets from a new Labor government, will of course hold them to account for good or ill as to how they are doing with their personal finances.
Peter Dutton's proposal on job seeker for those recipients on the welfare unemployment payment to be able to earn more before they lose their benefits. The government looked like it had been a bit wrong-footed on this one, Zed Seselja. Did you think Peter Dutton landed at least 1 or 2 policy ideas well in that budget reply?
Well, I think he laid down a couple of excellent markers, and so I think that was one that I thought was a really good proposition. It's giving people a go. It's helping those who are most vulnerable, but it's helping them to get back into the workforce, which is the purpose of things like job seeker. So I think he landed it there. I think he's laying down some markers on things like on nuclear energy, on other issues such as the cashless debit card and child protection. So I think it was well calibrated. I think if you look at Peter Dutton's strategy, he is playing the long game. He's not being sucked in like some state Liberal leaders do from time to time in answering his opponents' questions. He's playing his own game, playing the long game, and now talking about the real concerns of Middle Australia, the working poor, as he talks about, concerns about the rate of immigration with the housing crisis we have. There's a number of issues there where I think he is starting to hit the mark, but it's going to take a little while longer, perhaps, before that is heard by the average punter out in the suburbs and the regions.
Darren, you've said on this program a number of times it's tough for anyone in opposition at this stage of the electoral cycle. Do you think Peter Dutton is gradually finding his feet?
Look, I think he certainly, as I agree with Zed, he's certainly putting down some markers on the territory for the next election. I think the concept of big Australia and migration and housing supply, they will all be a factor. However, before then, we have to get through the issue of the voice, and that's going to dominate political discussion probably for most of the next few months. And I think if the voice is successful, that puts Peter Dutton in very difficult political terrain. So I think we are shaping up. We're starting to get an idea of what both sides are going to take to the next election, but we do have that big referendum to get through before we consider those item by item before the next poll.